Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is the Daily Medicine Transmission for April 8th, 2021. Welcome. I just want to take a moment to welcome back my audience and my subscribers. You truly are the lattice work for this channel and for the transmission of these messages. Without you, there would really be no transmission other than to myself, which may be the case in the future. Anyway, who knows? And if you're new to this channel, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you find this information helpful, by the time you get to the end of it, you can hit that like button, you can subscribe, you can share this video. All of those interactions actually make a difference to independent content creators like myself. So thanks for being here, and let's get started. Today's Daily Medicine Transmission title is The Path of Becoming. So the moon is in Pisces now. It will be in Pisces all day. We're getting so close to this new moon, the first new moon of the changeover of the seasons, the spring in the northern hemisphere, the fall in the southern hemisphere, a culmination point regardless of where you find yourself. But the moon in Pisces, we are beyond dipping our toe into the collective soul. In fact, we are all in a position of emotionally merging entirely, complete submersion into the realm of the collective soul, the transcendent experience, and into the waters of the collective unconscious. So for as much as the moon in Pisces is just so beautiful, and as we'll see with the intuitive message that came through today, it really is about love and compassion and for ourselves and other people. That is not only a causal factor to how these energy will probably play out today, but also is our root power through this process, because there is a lot of distraction as per usual. And that is the case always with Pisces, because it is everything. It is everything that we have access to, and it's everything that we have access to emotionally and intuitively and psychically. So sometimes it's really difficult with a moon in Pisces to know which end is up, because we're completely submerged. And as we are now moving into the balsamic phase of this lunar cycle, the moon is getting darker and she's having less interaction with our sun, which is in Aries. And so there does appear to feel like a differentiation between all of this really fiery, ambitious Aries energy that's reflected in the sun and Mercury and even Venus, right, who is holding that resonance within herself as well and really embodying it on a physical, material level. But also with the moon in Pisces, then we have this feeling of an emotional submersion into everything. And it often can lead us to feel very disempowered or powerless, because it is dissolving everything. We emotionally are dissolving ourselves into the collective soul. And so we start to lose our sense of identity and subjectiveness when this happens. And with all of the Aries energy along with it, it can feel it can just produce a lot of anxiety of losing ourselves and feeling disempowered. It could really trigger a feeling of woundedness and victimhood because of that as well. And as we really gear up for the 9th, which is it's just such an incredibly potent day with the transits. Especially with Chiron. Mercury will meet Chiron tomorrow in Aries, and there's so much to learn there. There is so much to learn, and we will get the download, and what we do with it is going to be really up to us. So the moon will be in Pisces all day, and it will be in Pisces all day tomorrow. On the West Coast, it'll move into Aries very late tomorrow, Friday night. So we still have all of today and all of tomorrow in this realm in Pisces, and there is just so much confusion. But the love component, the compassion component, the commitment component that was at the top of our awareness yesterday is still very much applicable and strong, and we can utilize what we're learning and what we're feeling when we have this moon in Pisces today. And there are some specific transits that can really help with this process as we are feeling one thing and wrapping up a cycle internally, intuitively, emotionally, and at the same time expressing ourselves and identifying ourselves, having our mental capacity and our sensitivity with Venus, the divine feminine incarnate, all in this Aries energy that is ready to move forward and to that strong impulse to be. So I had a dream not last night, but the night before. I'm not going to tell you all of it because it's for me. But I will say that one of the things that was very prominent in the dream is that I was at my home, my current home, and actually in my home in the dream, and I was in my pool, and I was on a diving board, which doesn't actually exist in my pool, but I was standing on the diving board, and the seal came out of the pool and hopped onto the diving board. And so if you're familiar with the Sabian symbols, the first degree of Aries is a woman that is coming out of the ocean, right? That first degree of Aries is a woman coming out of the ocean, and a seal is embracing her. And it is the impulse to be, it is the impulse to, emerge out of the watery soup of primordial collective energy, right? The Pisces energy, the ocean that all life came out of on this planet. So, and we can think about it that way. But the seal, there's a lot of totem messages and shamanic messages that go along with the seal. And in this particular instance, the seal does represent, the seal is embracing the woman, is that at any point, this is so delicate, right? It is not even delicate, but it's so still coming out of that formlessness. So at any point we could be pulled right back into it if we, depending on what's going on with us and what we came out of as well. So the seal seems to be a very strong message that came through came through me and came through my channel through an astral realm for my own personal life, and also to share with you. And I shared this with a very good friend of mine, actually, and they had an encounter with seals very recently in an area that they're like, I didn't even know there were seals that lived here. So there is this emergence that's coming, this path of becoming, but we have to go through this process of being in the primordial energetic soup within us before we can emerge out of that. And so there's a lot of conflicting energy. So if you're frustrated, if anxiety is really high, there's a lot to be anxious about, out there, but there is a lot that wants to pull us back into the density of the old structures that are in fact falling away. And that will be more apparent tomorrow when the moon does come into a sextile with Pluto. And there is so much more going on tomorrow that we're going to have to talk about, because it's important to realize that there are many factors that are going to come together and bring about quite an event, whatever it'll be. But today we can really connect to the an example within us. We can connect to something that has to do with our spiritual will that you can only really connect to in Pisces today. That is going to just going to be a way to support this process. So let's look at the chart, because there's some very specific things today that we can work with. So I'm going to minimize myself here. And I'm not going to I'm a human being just like everybody else here. Despite being a starseed, I've been on Earth many, many times over. And so I still have a very strong connection to being human. And I will tell you what, that my anxiety has been peak for a lot of different reasons. And working with that and learning to embrace that without being it is been a real challenge, because there are so many things to learn through the course of our own feeling state. And this is where we choose our experience, right? I could choose to embody that anxiety and be that anxiety, and let that be the filter in which everything I interact with goes through. And then that is, I will continue to reinforce that over and over. It's not that I'm choosing the anxiety or the events that are caused. I have no control over a lot of the things that are causing the anxiety, or for me to feel anxious. But what I do have a choice over is how I interact with that, and what I learn from that, and what I gain from those experiences. And this will be heightened, I think, today with the moon in Pisces completely submerged throughout today. Okay, so let's look at the chart here. All right. So we have our moon in Pisces. Obviously, how many times am I going to say it, just so that you can be very clear about this? So we do have a couple interesting connections. Vesta, already, as I said yesterday, is in conjunction with fixed star Thuban. This is the Draco starseed marking, Alpha Draconis, okay? Vesta, the asteroid that represents the goddess Vesta. She is the goddess of the hearth. She wasn't characterized as a anthropomorphic or humanoid figure very often in Greek and Roman mythology. She was often characterized as the flame itself. And the Vestal virgins are the priestesses of Vesta's temple, and they are committed to being of service. And so Vesta has been in the sign of her priestesses, really drawing our attention to the commitment that we made to this spiritual path and to be of service to the community, specifically about keeping that flame alive for the community. And, Venus in Aries right now is certainly making this more apparent, especially because Venus in the quote unquote underworld right now, not visible because she is traveling with the sun. So we don't see Venus at nighttime. And so that is the indication that it is more of an internalized and under the surface and in the underworld experience, which, Virgo specifically in that 6th house does have us go into the depths of who we are as individuals and really train and condition ourselves. So the Dracos, they continue to come forward. I am just aghast in a good way. Every day that I'm doing these starseed readings, another Draco comes forward, another Draco comes forward. And so this is really with Vesta here at this point, and we'll go direct at some point here. And so we'll come back over this point. And so the retrograde is really getting the Draco starseeds specifically in line, because these individuals hold positions of power. They are incredibly emotionally adept and capable of really wielding that power. And these are these are probably the people in human design that have manifesting generator type of energy, is my guess. I'm not super I'm not very well versed in human design. But it's based in astrology, so I kind of am, but I don't have the technique down necessarily. The whole point I'm trying to make, though, is that the Dracos are coming forward, and the Dracos are coming forward to really initiate themselves into this process, because they are going to have to really counterbalance the negative and the dark serpent energy. And if we remember, again, the total solar eclipse on the 14th of December, and in the head of Ophiuchus, the snake handler, the snake charmer, this energy is still manifesting. It is still rippling out and will do so until probably the next eclipse cycle, which is May and June. And we're going to talk about that in the next astro report for the new moon, because it's going to be very close. If not, I don't think it'll be within this next lunar cycle, but very close. And it's important we talk about this next eclipse cycle, because this will be a whole different ball of wax, so to speak. But today, the moon is in opposition to this point. And so we are feeling the call, aren't we? We're feeling the call towards the evolutionary crisis within us. And I think there's a lot of disempowerment, because we feel it and we sense it and we can connect to it very deeply and widely, this call to step forward. And in opposition to Vesta, we can't really do anything until in Pisces. There's no doing in Pisces. There is just being in Pisces. And it is about the last stage before coming back into the seed point of the next cycle. And so Vesta is really pulling us back into this responsibility to start taking our first steps towards personal reorientation, especially the Dracos, okay? And so if you are a Draco starseed and you know that you are, and you are feeling this tug because you're like, I need to step forward. I feel it to step forward for this and be in the forefront for this evolutionary crisis. And just know that Vesta, the asteroid of Vesta, she is supporting the process of each of us and this part of us getting up to speed and being trained properly. Because if you are the Dracos that are not aware of their starseed origin, the Dracos that have committed themselves to a strictly Saturnian focus, right? That devil card that we're going to see today is, these people are in a position of power, and they use that Draco energy to manipulate and to control the situation for preservation and survival. This reptilian serpent energy and serpent medicine is incredibly powerful, but without the training, without the discipline, without a commitment to service to humanity, this is very much used against us. So again, Vesta is pulling us back away to a certain extent to be like, listen, over here is how you mitigate that strong feeling of wanting to step forward for this crisis. Don't worry, we're all going to have our moments, right? So that's the one transit today that I want to address. Also, too, Pallas Athena is the goddess of wisdom and strategy, is in Pisces. So the moon's going to meet Athena today. And there is a very narrow path of illumination right through the eye of the needle. This is the apex point in a transcendent way that we all must travel, and we all can travel. And Pallas Athena is about the strategy, right? The wisdom of fighting a battle and a war and being able to, that's why Athena has the owl as her totem animal. The wisdom and the ability to strategize and to see things that the normal human eyes can't see, right? The owl is a nocturnal predator. They are a bird, no less. And so they have a unique capacity to see into the darkness in a way that other totem animals and humans can't. If you ever remember the cartoon movie, The Secret of Nim? I would really recommend that movie. Oh, wow. It's been a while, but I did watch it recently. And one of the characters was an owl that they would go to for wisdom. And the owl, you had to be careful around the owl, right? Because the owl was still a predator and was blind, as far as I knew, too, if I remember correctly. And so the wisdom here. And so we can connect to this strategy of the illumination is not going to come forward necessarily through any specific action on our part. This is really about being able to walk that path of illumination, and that is a strategy that we can really employ. And each person's going to have a different connection to this, which is why understanding your chart is so important, because you can see where Pisces is in your chart and how these aspects are connecting with other things in your chart and give you a sense of how individually this is playing out. The moon is also going to be in a sextile to Uranus and Taurus today as well. And this is it's very interesting because if we're able to really fly above a lot of this, right? If we're like an aviator, right? Going up past the clouds, the obscuring clouds, this is really going to support our ability to awaken through a very altruistic perspective, which is treating everybody with the same tender care and treatment because they're human, and that's where it ends, right? True altruism in the Taurus archetype is about the fact that we are all born of this earth. We all are nature. We all are belonging to Gaia, and we all belong to nature. And so this is an action that Uranus is stimulating through a very consistent disruption of material reality, so it can break it down into a very simple concept of everybody is a human, therefore everybody deserves care and treatment. Like a Red Cross nurse, they would go into the war zone or the battle zone and provide treatment regardless of what side they're on. And if we can take ourselves emotionally out of the game, so to speak. Oh, I can't wait to show you the reading. If we can take ourselves out of the game and realize the divisiveness is part of the way we're trapped, this can support us being able to align with this altruism. That's really the path of our awakening right now. And then the moon is going to square the nodes, and there is so much, the Draco constellation is the inspiration for the moon's nodes being the dragon. And so there is this incredible pull in a direction to to show our skills, to be a virtuoso of what it is that expands our consciousness of what we know, right? So the moon squaring and the retribution, right? The south node, if it's not listed on this chart here, but we know that the south node is in direct opposition at every moment to the north node, the tail of the dragon, the retribution, the widow's past coming to light. You can't move on to the next cycle until you have dealt with all of the impurities of the last one and learn from it. This is part of yesterday's transmission where the ruin and the mental and intellectual aspects, eventually the analysis will lead us nowhere. And we have to come to terms with what we have brought forward mentally and intellectually in order to start a new cycle of mercurial energy, right? The swords. But we have to still contend with what has already happened, this retribution aspect at the south node. But either way, the moon is going to be squaring both of these aspects and inviting us really to find that courage and that willpower within us and an example of it within us somewhere. This may be coming through our dreams. Oh, dreams are going to get so intense they already are, but it's getting more so now with this moon in Pisces, especially dark moon in Pisces. It might come through our dreams, right? It might come through a meditation or a moment of artistic inspiration. Either way, we can connect to something that represents a consecrated individual in a past situation or in a similar situation that we can look at and be inspired by, rather than allowing ourselves to be exclusively pulled in one direction or just holding for dear life onto this tail, which I feel a lot of people are right now because the retribution aspect is so wanted and so people are desperate for it, and it's coming. But to understand, the south node is where we've been. This is providing the momentum forward, but this is not how we evolve on a soul level right this moment. And so the square with the moon, as with all squares, there's no resolving this. There's just leaning into the discomfort and learning. And it is a mutable square, of course. And so we do have this malleability here to actually shift our perspective with this square. It's not as fixed as some other things could be, and there's not a lot of cardinal energy with a lot of momentum. So the malleability of this mutable square is actually could work in our favor if we understand that going into it. So that is the astrology for today. It's really leading up to something tomorrow. Oh my Lord. The moon's you can see it right here. The moon's gonna meet Neptune tomorrow at the same time that Neptune squares Mars in Gemini, in a conjunction with Bellatrix, still the Amazon. This is incredible. Mars is meeting the Amazonian. This fire that Mars often represents in Aries, and then have Venus in Aries, and then meeting the Amazonian woman, right? The fierce fire feminine, the solar feminine that Venus represents. And I'm going to link something in the social media accounts to something that I really encourage you to take the time to read about what's going on right now with Venus and this solar fire and solar feminine, because it's important. But Mars is meeting this powerful Amazonian aspect today, and we can really embody that. Something else to point out real quick here is that Venus is at the point where the new moon will be on the 11th. So the sensitivity and the harmonious aspect that Venus represents, the feminine, the embodying in a really palpable way of the fulfillment that we are going to bring forward, the inner fulfillment, what we bring into this cycle, this next lunar cycle, and which will really be the big kickoff of this season. Venus is holding it right now. Black Moon Lilith, on the other hand, is now moved into Taurus and is going to meet Uranus very soon. And so be mindful of that part of yourself, that self-preservation, that serpent energy and medicine. It's sometimes considered, at least in a biblical context, that Lilith came back and was the serpent, or at least shifted into the serpent. Now, whether or not you believe that, that's for everybody to engage with and decide on their own if that is something that resonates with them. But what I will say is that when we have, again, reptilian energy, the limbic system of the brain, this is about preservation, this is about survival. And Lilith, that deep, dark feminine, acts out in survival if we are not aware of it. So this will come back really strongly again when she meets Uranus in the next day or so, which I do believe is tomorrow, actually. And of course, Saturn is going to come into the exact trine with the nodes. Oh, sorry, I just got the ringing and the whole head vibrating. Okay, so I guess that's something is coming in. All right, let's look at the reading for today, because this is this is striking. Okay, I hope everybody is still on board here. All right, I'm going to check in with the stream really quick, my friends, just to make sure that all is well. Yes, indeed. Great. So here we are, and we made a commitment yesterday. It was at the top of our awareness. It was what is manifesting consciously, this commitment to love, commitment to our own self-care, a commitment to being compassionate and forgiving towards ourselves and other people. So now this causal factor coming into this present moment is about the love, but it's the differentiation. The separation is how we learn to come back together in unity. So it's a very basic and very fundamental aspect with the Two of Cups. We have the devil at the heart here. That's the dark side of Saturn, the Saturnian and Capricornian matrix of the natural world, seemingly trapping us, right? At the heart of things. And there is a deep reflection that is necessary here. We are potentially rooted in this identity of love and compassion that is allowing us to see ahead to what's coming and exit this game, right? The Devil card and the Capricorn archetype is about the incredible power and authority of the physical and material world, but it is not the end all be all. So we have all of this energy here. And what's really interesting to me about today's reading and the transmission is that the Nine of Discs is another Venus card. The Two of Cups is Venus. The Nine of Discs is Venus as well. And it is reversed, right? Venus in Virgo. It's the gain of the Nine of Discs. When it's reversed, there's a lot of different ways this can go. And it's important that we realize that this could be an internalized gain, but it also could be it could be as simple as losing something material as a result of committing emotionally to ourselves and to our spiritual progression. So let's look at all of this one piece at a time here. Here's the Two of Cups, Venus in Cancer, right? This is such a lovely, beautiful pink, right? Very feminine, very soft and inviting type of card. It is, love is, in a very simple way, is the, comes about as a result of the differentiation. There is unity and difference, but we have to go through the differentiation first, in order to have the opportunity to do that. And so, love, in order to be experienced in a material way, needs a source outside of itself. And this is that first moment where that happens. And Cancer energy is cardinal water, which means that we have momentum in our emotional bonds. It is the movement of our love that provides the emotional bonds. You know, Cancer in the tarot is the Chariot, right? There is so much momentum and protection as well. And Venus is the goddess of love, and the Empress, the divine feminine incarnate, sensitivity in a material way. So the causal factor coming in here to this moment is the differentiation as a result of our commitment that we have each individually became conscious and aware of yesterday to ourselves and to this process, an emotional commitment. And as a result, now there is love, but it requires a differentiation in order to even have this experience. And so the differentiation, I think people will certainly, in some ways struggle with, but this is, you don't get an opportunity to come into unity without it. And we have the devil at the heart of things today. The devil, the Capricornian matrix, the trap of material karma, right? The cycle of karma. You see these bodies are trapped within two zygotes that are in the process of meiosis, which is the separation, right? The separation. So we feel the differentiation, and then the unity in the differences in love. And it brings us to this point now of the very material aspect of this differentiation and the separation that is necessary in order for these cells to multiply. The devil also represents, you can see the goat here, with the third eye open and this, shit-eating grin on its face. It's like, I have a secret. I know the secret. And it's also that it's only us that traps ourselves here, right? If you look at the Rider-Waite original tarot deck, the man and the woman that are chained to the devil, can easily just take off their chains and be free. But this is that point, the dark side of Saturn, where we don't see that. And when you get into, this is where the Draco starseeds that aren't awake, or are not in commitment to service to humanity as a whole and to God's plan, this is where they get stuck. And so this can be conceptualized or even actualized as I kneel to no one, which, to a certain extent makes sense, but even to God, right? Even to divine source, they're not kneeling to when you are worshiping the Saturnian aspect, and your own illumination, right? It doesn't end there. But if you believe that it ends there, and that it is not illumination into a merging with source, then you do get to escape the karmic wheel that this represents. But this is at the heart, and there is a trap, right? There is a trap here. And the trap, I think, is precipitated by the differentiation that comes from separating from source, and we want to love, and we want this causal connection here with the Two of Cups to give us that. But in the heart of it, there is a very dense trap that we have to work with right now. So we are at the root here, the Queen of Roses. This is passion, this is love, this is support, this is connection. Subconsciously, where we are finding ourselves rooted, peaceful, loving connection. This is us as people. We can embody this within us. We can see it in other people. I mean, look at how she's just holding this rose petal in her hand and just loving it and sending it Reiki. You know what I mean? Like we at the root of this here can embody this energy. And there is very little here that is activated. There is very little here that is trapped, right? She's just surrounded by roses, and she has the one in her hand that is the most important to her in this moment. But she is surrounded by all of it, and we can root ourselves energetically to this process and be this person, right? As we move up our vertical axis of power, our spinal cord, as it were, we take this energy of the Queen of Roses, we embody it within ourself, and it comes up, meets the heart here of this trap. And I think this is where the frustration and the fear and the anxiety is sitting right here in the heart of this Capricornian matrix that we feel trapped in. It's self-imposed. Now, as we come to our conscious awareness, where this is really activating up here, here's our lookout, number 17. Oh, number 17, the star card in the tarot, or, our favorite intelligence insider, number 17, the letter Q. So the lookout, we've seen this before, right? Everything is a dumpster fire below us, but yet we are maintaining our composure to look out over the horizon to see the next steps. Be ready. This will allow us to be ready when we are connected emotionally, when we are committed to the process of love and compassion and connection. If we are rooted here, we face the heart of the matter, which is this feeling of trapped, this feeling of the matrix itself, the false matrix, the wheel of karma, however you want to identify it. This then influences where our conscious awareness is, which is to be ready, to be on the lookout, to prepare for what is coming. Because that's the thing about the material aspect. If we are feeling trapped by it, then we don't see any options. We don't see that there's somewhere else to go. There is no backup plan unless we are rooted in this place of connection and love and support and passion within us. But if we are, then we have our conscious awareness here on the what's coming next. We see what's coming next. We have a perspective of what's coming next and to be ready for it. Now, where this leads, though, again, the Nine of Discs, when it's reversed, I mean, there's a lot of different ways so that this can be conceptualized. Number one, let's look at what this means in and of itself. This is satisfaction with everything that we have cultivated, right? The Nine of Discs is very satisfied with itself. Venus is very satisfied with herself. That's what she wants. She wants satisfaction. And she is very satisfied today because she's in a degree of Aries that is about being pregnant, essentially, with what it is that we want to actualize, the inner fulfillment that we hold. It's so Venus wants to be satisfied. She is satisfied in this moment now, and pulling in everything, right? The culmination of the nine is the end of the cycle. It is kind of like the pregnancy in some ways, like everything is here. When it's reversed, there's a lot of different ways that we can look at this, but this does feel that that making this connection and this commitment And as much as Venus is involved in this process, wanting to be satisfied, there is we have to change our perspective, because there is a sense of loss and dissipation, especially Virgo is the opposite of Pisces right now. And Pisces and the moon are definitely dissipating a lot of our personal energy and satisfaction right now in a material way. There's potentially greed for more. But really what this is saying to me, and it's different for everybody, but what I am reading here based on everything else is that we will have to let go of something. Like, there is a gain, but it is a gain that we are not really wanting. Perhaps we're not feeling fully satisfied, or we're just going to have a loss in some ways, or greed for more when we have everything we need in order to release our own trappings, with this devil card at the heart of things. But there is a loss that is coming, or a resistance to what we are gaining, because it's not as satisfying as maybe we want, and there's greed for more. So, and that's absolutely a potential with the devil at the heart, this dark Saturn aspect. Always more. You'll never satisfy yourself if it's always material. And so that's something to consider as well. And this is why it's important that we ground down and root into an identity or a connection with this Queen of Roses, being this queen, this loving and supportive and compassionate individual, so that we can be ready for the next step, because there will be a loss. And look at the lookout, there's loss already. There's no gathering in the crops here. It's all burning. And so there is a sense that something will be lost, but we already are aware of it and looking out for it. And this comes from our commitment, again, to love and connection. So let's look at some guidance points. Number one, reflection. This is this is a direct link to our psychic gifts, which is also part of the Pisces and the feeling-based archetypes and symbols. The reflection. We have to be more aware of our emotions. And with the mouse involved, which I'll show you in just a moment, this is about being very in tune to the most subtle movements. And the reflection is about stilling that water completely to really see very clearly the reflection of what is in this card is a full moon, which is, remember that full moon? You remember? You remember? The full moon, it was what are we each going to come back to in a time of confusion and crisis? What inspires us? What are the masters that are represented that allow us to apply our knowledge to find balance? What is it? Well, let's go back to that. And we have to, still those waters so that we can reflect back on that. And so there's a difference between our intuitive voice and our lower emotional compulsions. And the mouse is meant to show us that this is saying we're overlooking some important details, so pay closer attention. But it's really, the mouse is so in tune to the most subtle vibrations and movements, because it has to be in order to survive an environment where everything for the most part seems to be much bigger. We do have to fine-tune our psychic channel. We have to fine tune our intuitive channel, and we have to be more plugged into the subtleness and the changes, and we have to still the waters of our emotions so that we can reflect even deeper, because we're going to need this. We're absolutely going to need this as we are moving forward. Look at that ship. It's burning right underneath us. We need to keep our heads and be connected to our gut, even when things are challenging and throwing us off our center. And they will. They will definitely throw us off our center. That's certainly in the stars right now. And when it comes to that, let's just talk about that, actually. So the cat, it's time to strike out on your own and relinquish your overdependency on others. Remember that the chess game of a very black and white divisiveness is the matrix trap. The chessboard itself is the old guard that's falling away. If you are continuing to participate by being divisive, say, either or, black and white, Republican, Democrat, whatever, just man and woman, it doesn't matter. When you participate in this political game, you are really just staying trapped, right? It's time to let it go. And I know that there's a lot to be concerned about. This ship is burning underneath us, and people are getting more anxious about all of the things that are happening on so many levels, politically and socially. And there's a lot of deceit present, a lot. I mean, these psyops are no joke, and even the most trusted, what you consider the most trusted source of information, could very well easily be an asset in order to keep you in this chess game, keep you trapped. And this is at the heart of it right now. So if we want to take an emotional step back, if we want to, and we do want to take an emotional step back. We want to root our emotions down into our own sense of love and connection. We want to still the waters of our emotions so we can reflect very accurately into something much deeper. We want to cultivate the subtle connections that the mouse represents, and we want to strike out on our own. We continue to go back to people who are telling us what is and isn't for us instead of making that decision for ourselves. And this is part of the chess game. This is part of the black and white. These people are your enemy. No, these people are your enemy. They are serving an agenda that only serves them. When we stay in this, we also stay trapped. And where our conscious manifestation power right now is on the ability to look out over and be prepared for the next step. And that is only going to come with this sensitivity. And the moon in Pisces today, for as much as it may feel disempowering or diffusing us, is also allowing us to connect into the most subtle realm in order to be able to act when the time comes. Okay. And it's coming. The time to act. We will be asked to act at some point. And the loss that we may feel, this 9 of discs right now, is to just realize that maybe what we thought we had gained is not actually what we want. And so that's another way to look at this. So my friends, that is the transmission for today. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. If you are interested in a reading, learning your starseed origins, or needing energetic support through Reiki or shamanic energy work, you can go to catalystenergies.net. That is in the description box below. If you are interested in social media connections, you can find Catalyst Energies on Telegram and Facebook, also in the description box below. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. Hold fast, dear friends. We're on the path of becoming, which is really the actual spiritual work. And that's the work of the starseeds and the light workers, and to stay on that path, okay? We're doing a great job. I'm every day impressed with all of us. And, we're doing a great job. It just, we are taking one step at a time. And as long as we're committed to that love, which is very much reflected in this, we've made this commitment, and now it has come into the horizon of our conscious awareness, this linear aspect of the horizontal axis. We have committed, but when we commit to something like that, we have to accept that it does differentiate, and that can be lead us into feeling trapped in some way, but there's only up to go as far as I can tell. So thank you for being here. Like I said, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you tomorrow for Friday's Daily Medicine transmission. Take care. Bye.